Right off the bat, I'm a 20-year-old virgin, and I've never had sex before. What a way to open off the video. And as a way of proof, as you can see here, I have my own personal V card here with me today. See that? See that? Do you see it? I'm such a child, bro. Alright, all jokes aside, yes, I am still a virgin. And immediately when somebody hears this, they're either bewildered or shocked or wonder why I remained a virgin for so long. And I'll give you the reasons as to why I still have my V card to this day. And you will more than likely relate to this, bro or sis. So stick around until the end of the video. If you're watching this and you're currently a virgin, or waiting till marriage for religious reasons, or even not a virgin and you still want to hear what I have to say on this embarrassing or uncomfortable topic at hand today, you're still winning. Today in our hypersexualized society, we're encouraged to indulge in things like hookup culture and to sleep with lots of random people to get your body count up as a way to prove your self-worth to others. But bro, the crazy thing is, even before I started to hit puberty, kids from ages like 12 to 14 were having sex early on and talking about their experiences. And my little awkward ass at the time felt like an outcast whenever the topic would be brought up, just because I haven't done anything like that before. And the thing is, there was such an immense pressure to lose it so early on. And I knew even back then that was a little weird that literal middle school and high schoolers were putting losing your V card on such a high pedestal. And around middle school, even though I was still awkward and had just discovered, I was still starting to somewhat get some type of attention from girls, but I never really capitalized on it. Like here and there I would entertain it for like shits and giggles, right? But the entire time I just wanted to be a kid and enjoy my youth with my friends and just avoid all this talk about sex. And to some extent I did, until either sophomore or junior year of high school. But that's when some of my friends started to lose their virginity. And around this time, I think I was like 17 or 16. I think I was 17. And oftentimes when someone would lose their virginity, they would ask me and be like, "Oh Noah, what's your body count?" And bro, honestly, I was such a for this. So because I was scared of being made fun of or embarrassed from the fact that I was still a virgin, I would usually lie and say I have one body. And the fact that I lied about this made me feel like a little weak bitch. But until fairly recently, when I got on self-improvement and started building a higher self-esteem for myself, that I started to realize that all this smash as many girls as possible mantra to get validation was not only very surface level, pointless, but haram as like at one point in time, I used to think before I turned 18, 19, or 20 that if I was still a virgin, my life would be over. But here I am today standing in front of the camera talking to you guys. And I also want to add it in that I had the fear that I would never be able to attract a girl or feel loved. And the thing is, you probably relate to this too, bro. And I'm here to tell you, it's all bullshit. The amount of people you stick your pee-pee into does not determine your worth as a man, because essentially all you're doing is having pointless, degenerate, emotionless sex with multiple girls that most likely have daddy issues. Who, to be fair, no disrespect to them when I say this before I get labeled a misogynist, but they don't respect their bodies or themselves. So why would you want to waste time pursuing a stinky hole that multiple dudes have been inside? And for the girls, because I'm not just gonna get on the guys' asses, why deal with emotionally unavailable dudes that don't give a about you and that don't even know how to wipe his ass correctly? It's a complete waste of time. And honestly, I'm at fault for this too, because I was letting these pressures get to my head to the point to where I made losing my V card a genuine goal. Not even that long ago, like just 7 months ago, I made a goal to lose my virginity to any girl that'll let me hit, no matter if we were compatible or not. If she was sexually attracted to me, shit, why wouldn't she be? You feel what I'm saying? Buff ass then I'll deem her just good enough for me to smash. And the thing is, bro, this is all fueled by my own ego and own insecurities to feel accepted by everybody else. I'm not gonna lie, there were some close sexual encounters where I was about to lose it, but I either like folded, or at the last minute when things started to escalate, that's when I like pulled off and made an excuse not to do it. And honestly, bro, I'm actually glad that I did, because after journaling, I started to realize that chasing pointless sex was a complete waste of time. Like if I'm being honest, like I still want to have sex, right? But I only want to do it with someone I genuinely have a connection with and care for. And more than likely, you probably want the same for yourself as well. And this is just a quick mention, but bro, do you ever notice how like on one hand you would see these like four neck postured incels on the computer chairs that don't go outside, say things like, "All women are gold digger sluts that only want to Chad and Tyrone's with money." And then on the other hand, you hear these girls with daddy issues talking about, "All guys are trash and only pump and dump you to never speak to you again and have little energy." And it doesn't make it any better when we have some influencers adding fuel to the fire with these podcast talks of which gender made what worse and who's at fault for the downfall of dating and all this degeneracy and all these topics that don't really solve anything. And the more you watch them and start to adopt their shitty worldviews due to your lack of exposure with the opposite gender, the more likely you are to not dismiss anything that they say and not form an opinion of your own, and it also starts to rub off on your brain. Like, you honestly got a question, why would you want to get intimate with people like that do nothing but complain about the people they purposely choose choose to sleep with instead of doing reflection on themselves. Doesn't make any sense. At this point, you're putting yourself in a situation to deal with broken people and have them trauma dump all their problems onto you. You have to grow the balls or the ovaries to have some respect for yourself and avoid these types of people who are like this. And I speak to myself as I say this as well. I was at fault for this for a very long time until one day a good friend of mine was holding me and my cousin accountable for trying to justify reasons for wanting to lose our virginities or become complete degenerates. And I would say shit like, oh, I'm doing it for the experience purposes. Experience matters. I have to go through a whole phase so I could mate select better. And all the talking points you would hear on a podcast as to why a guy needs to have 50 plus bodies in order to properly mate select. Looking back now, not only did it make no sense, but it goes to show that I had no opinion of my own. Now, if you already made it this far into the video and you already heard all that I've said and you're like, that's cool and all, Noah, and you still genuinely want to lose your virginity, and I don't condone this, and neither do the genuine, honest people that went through their whole phases themselves tell you not to do this as well. But if you really want to get laid, bro, it's easier now more than ever to smash like a 3 or 4 girl that has nothing to offer right down the street. But here's the thing, it requires some level of effort by going to the gym, getting a job, and third, by making yourself attractive enough to be the type of guy that girls want to sleep with. And it just takes a small amount of effort if losing your virginity matters that much to you as much as it did me in the past. And I want to mention something that usually red pillers will say, how like guys and the virginity rates is like as high as it's ever been because I guess women want to sleep with the top 20 to 1% of guys, something like that. And I think that might be true to some extent, but I think that's due to the fact that most guys have just given up and are adopting this black pillar mentality and attributing everything to genetics and circumstances instead of trying to improve themselves to some capacity. Now, yeah, you can make the argument that girl standards have increased too, but I'm not gonna go too in depth about that. You guys can leave a comment on that and let me know. If guys just start to have some type of self-respect for themselves instead of complaining and putting pussy on a pedestal and stop wanking off support, I believe an abundance of more ovaries would be offered to them because of it. And if girls just stop opening their legs up for any guy that has a little bit of looks, riz, money, or clout, and stop listening to other degenerate low quality girlfriends to smash a guy that looks remotely attractive, they wouldn't have half the dating issues that they have now. Oh, one more thing. Don't you ever notice how people that said that they went through their whole phase themselves, especially the guys, say that nothing really changed? I believe that's true. Losing your V card prematurely to some random, to me at least, isn't some type of rite of passage. And just to prove a point, I'm gonna use this anime called Vinland Saga, specifically season 2. So spoilers ahead if you haven't watched season 2. I'm sorry, I'm gonna spoil it. Click off. So going through this rite of passage was mostly prevalent with the character of Omar. So to give you a quick rundown and a quick nutshell of what happened, essentially Omar was a privileged guy that lived on his father's farm and didn't really deal with any struggle in his life. So initially in the beginning of the season, he thought that killing a man would be some type of rite of passage for him to become a true warrior and gain the respect of the other Vikings and the other men in the series. But after seeing the catastrophic bloodbath that happened on his father's farm and taking another man's life without a second thought due to the help of the coin guy low-key, if you guys watch the season, you know who I'm talking about. Motherfucker said, "Boing." He then had severe consequences happen to him mentally. So shortly after, he realized that violence and taking another man's life for no good reason to prove yourself to shallow people was not worth it. So then he started to resonate with the main character Thorfinn's ideology of having no enemies and not trying to prove yourself to depraved, shallow people like that. Now I know at this point you're probably asking, how does this correlate to losing your virginity, Noah? Well, the same logic applies here. You don't have to lose your virginity to some random girl or guy to showcase that you're desired or worth something to those types of people. People are actually weird as shit looking back now. Like, why are you worried about my body count? Why are you worried about who I'm sleeping with? That shit should be kept sacred. And the last thing I want to tell you is that you must increase your standards for yourself. In one of my favorite books called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert A. Glover, there's a chapter in the book on page 172 that resonates heavily with me on the topic of sex and not settling. He says, as long as a nice guy is willing to settle for bad sex, he limits his opportunities to experience good sex. Okay, so the way I interpret what he said here is not settling for what's offering itself to you or trying to lose your virginity early on because it presents itself, but rather just keep working on yourself and wait for a better one to come around and give it to someone actually worth losing to. I'm not giving you my V card. You guys can't have that shit. Fucking pervert. But I gotta shed some light and actually give some context of what he's saying here. And this falls into the context of like porn and compulsive masturbation mostly, but it also applies to choosing low quality people to sleep with just to get it over with. And bro, my favorite quote on this page is when he says, I regularly tell nice guys you have to be willing to let go of what you've got to get what you want. You don't want that emotionally unstable girl that has daddy issues that 20 guys have also been inside. You don't want that problematic guy that has no goals or ambition for himself and that just goes around anything that breathes or walks and doesn't care how you feel. You and myself included have to sit down and put time aside to identify what we want out of our potential partners and think of things like what their character is like. Are they ambitious? Are they caring? Are they supportive? Do they put you in your feminine state? Do they put you in your masculine? Are they genuine good people to be around? Or just anything of that nature, you know? Once you do that, you won't feel the need to rush into something that you will later on regret like how most people do. Because if you do this and you wait for a better person to come around, this will translate to other areas of your life where you're not consumed by instant gratification and instead you prioritize delayed gratification. So aka waiting for something better. If you go about it this way, I genuinely believe you will succeed and win at everything else that you do. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, guys. It's hot as fuck in here. If you guys found this video relatable or valuable in any way, shape, or form, like the video, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this. I'm gonna see you guys. Peace.